Hello, everyone. Welcome to a professionally unprofessional podcast recording. I am once again joined by my good friends Reese in the middle and Elliot on the right.
Hello, everyone.
Help, people, please help. He's got us in his basement. He's not letting us leave. I've been forced to eat Monster Munch for 3 weeks.
Oh, that's a fate worse than death.
Fuck off. Monster Munch is great.
It depends on the flavour.
Monster Munch is just a
Pickled onions is like the only flavour, let's be honest.
No, sorry, I'm going to have to divert this briefly for a minute. Monster Munch is just a salt bomb waiting to happen.
And?
So?
Oh, I'm not going to win this argument. So,
Never.
We were supposed to do this a bit later, but personal schedules have affected things. And it's not
Pokemon. In other words, Calvin's skiving work.
And it's not Pokemon related this time.
It's Sonic related.
So we are. So I am going. So we are going to talk about Metaphor and Sparking Zero next month. Next month will be the Sparking Zero and Metaphor podcast recording. Because we're recording this on release day of both of those games. If you didn't get the special edition of Sparking Zero, so. But
I'm assuming Reese didn't.
No, because I'm not spending another 30 quid to play a game 3 days early.
Calvin did.
I didn't actually.
Well, yeah, it's Calvin. What do you expect?
No, I didn't. I didn't buy the digital deluxe for Sparking Zero.
I meant for Sonic Generations.
I did for Sonic Generations and I did for Silent Hill 2.
Because you're a bitch.
I didn't but and I also did for Metaphor as well. I bought the deluxe version of that.
Of fucking course you did. Good job. Good God, have you ever seen a man who wastes more money?
Can I point out as well, the thing that surprised me is, I thought from all that advertising campaign, Metaphor was going to Game Pass. It's not. And that shocks me. I would have thought, given all the money Xbox spent to get the marketing rights to that, they'd at least get a Game Pass deal while they were at it.
I'm not surprised.
I guess that they finally learned their lesson and want some money from a game on release.
Yeah, but
I guess they actually thought, oh no, wait, sales matter.
So okay, we'll start with. We normally do we go in Metacritic order, but given everything that's happened, we're actually going to go with the big Nintendo release this month, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. It's the only one all three of us actually played. So I've beaten it.
Reese, and I also did last night.
Reese,
I'm literally on the final boss.
Yeah, same. So you can get the sense of it. I'm going to start with Elliot because I'm curious on your opinion on this. What do you think of Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom?
It's fun. It's good. I like it.
Reese?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. It's a great throwback to the older 2D style of games.
It's on the level I thought it would be, honestly, for me.
I like it a lot. So there's a couple of things that stop me from really proper liking this game.
Oh, here we go. Just because you play as a woman, you can't enjoy the game.
Zelda's gone woke. It's all gone wrong.
No, I will stress that I will explain my reasoning. If anything, I think it's the fact that then I'll basically say I don't think they were confident enough in giving Zelda her own game this time round. I'll explain my reasoning for that a little later on. But okay, so obviously this is the game you're playing as Zelda. It's made by Grezzo, who did the Link's Awakening remake. Just have a question: have you guys played the Link's Awakening remake?
Yes.
Now, I think all of us liked the Link's Awakening remake. I certainly like the Link's Awakening remake.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was really good solid remake.
But I thought
it'd be the best version of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, definitely. But I thought after Link's Awakening remake came out, Grezzo would be the remake Zelda studio. I didn't think they would be giving their own opportunity to do an original title. Because I would have sooner expected, we're going to get an Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons remake next. Which actually, when I saw the trailer for this, I actually thought it was going to be when they did the opening trailer and they hadn't revealed it was Zelda, the playable character. I thought it was an Oracle remake. What do you guys think of the rod of wisdom mechanic? The idea of remaking these things in the world.
First of all, it's called the tri wand.
Oh, is it called the tri wand? I thought it was called the wand of wisdom.
No, it's called the tri staff or something like that. Do your research before you start claiming shit.
It's actually called the tri rod, but everyone just calls it the wand of Gamelon 2.0.
It's weird because I went through the entire game and I didn't see that.
They literally said it at the beginning of the game.
In a huge text box.
Oh god, I am really off topic.
Classic Calvin refusing to read. You are a Twitter user, aren't you?
No, I'm not a Twitter user. Anyway.
You're on Twitter more than we are.
So,
don't you fucking lie.
What do you guys think of that mechanic?
I really enjoyed it. It's quite unique to the franchise.
It was pretty much the thing that like really made the game for me. I really liked sort of the unique ways you could sort of do puzzles and whatnot just with the one mechanic.
I agree. It was the best part of the game because it was like you've got a gap there. There's like multiple ways you can do it. It's like the one I did a lot was when you get that cube of water.
Yeah,
I did that. The water block. I just did constant water blocks to get through things. That as soon as I got that, it was like platforming is not an issue now.
No, beds for me. I just stacked beds.
Yeah, that was what I did early on. Beds, stacking beds. Dunk, dunk, dunk.
Beds and boxes.
It reminded me a lot of that was one of the things that reminded me a bit of Tears of the Kingdom. There's definitely a Tears of the Kingdom influence in there.
I mean, just Breath of the Wild in general. Like, it's pretty obvious when you look at the sort of the objective things like the objective markers, and even just the way the menus look.
Yeah, it's very clear that one. But again, it is quite traditional Zelda in several other regards. Like the dungeons are very traditional Zelda.
Yeah, we found out proper dungeons for the first time in a decade.
Thank fucking God.
No, I would say Tears of the Kingdom counts.
No, it really doesn't. They do just feel like Breath of the Wild dungeons, but with a theme.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree on that one. The other thing that reminded me a lot of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild as well was the smoothies.
Yeah, with the whole food mechanic.
Yeah, that was surprisingly enjoyable to look at all the different combos you get. Although I got loads of combos for like smoothies that would give me way more hearts than I ever ended up getting in total.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I would probably just prefer they did the traditional potion system.
Well, you got the traditional potions in the game as well. The potions were there. It just cost a lot of rubies to get them.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really found annoying was that you can only do one smoothie at a time.
Yeah.
Batches.
Yeah, exactly my point. That is not annoying. I'm also like, it also feels like they didn't go as far as they could have. Like, you could have like with the cooking in Breath of the Wild, for example, you could like mix 5 ingredients together. I feel like you could have done that with the potion mechanic.
Yeah, and there's a couple of ingredients they give you where they are completely useless.
Yeah,
for making smoothies, like rock salt. When was that ever not just make an unedible smoothie?
Honestly, I made pretty much only health potions because all of them just made the unfortunate ones.
Well, we know I'm the only person who got who finished the side quest to make 30 different varieties of smoothie.
Of course.
But I didn't even know that was a side quest.
It came in handy for like for refueling energy, which energy doesn't come into play until you beat. I think you beat the first dungeon, then energy becomes a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the first dungeon. I think it's the first link encounter.
The first link encounter, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
so yeah.
Which counts as like a small semi-dungeon.
It's a mini-boss, I think, more than anything.
So you do the first mini-boss, and then you get access to, essentially, to be, for a small time, you get to be Link, essentially.
Yeah, that's actually another thing I'm not a big fan of. I like that you can play as Link. Like, I feel like you kind of need that to be able to defend yourself in some ways. I don't like that energy is incredibly difficult to get. Like, you can only get it from the shadow enemies, which I'm really not a fan of, because like I'll be like in encounters in a dungeon, for example, where that mechanic would be really useful, I'm just not able to do it because none of them are dropping any of the energy shards.
Yeah, and again, you have to then go into a dungeon. And if you actually get into the smoothie thing, you got to go into a dungeon with loads of smoothies that have energy replenishment, which you mainly get through giving chilies to things.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it for me is, and this comes into play towards the late game. I think you guys will know what I'm on about when I say this because I want to avoid spoilers. It almost feels like they lost confidence in this being Zelda's game by the fact of you get this temporary time to be Link, essentially. Like it is still.
No, I don't.
I
don't mind it because again, I like that you sort of have another method of defending yourself, and it does work with puzzles. Like if you're going to encounter, or if you're going to encounter you're not quite sure about.
It does make me kind of wish for a 2-player co-op game where one person plays as Link and one person plays as Zelda, though.
I would agree that they lose confidence with the game just being about Zelda. If, say, like, around the second half, you were back to playing as Link. But the fact you're playing as Zelda throughout the entirety of it, I think you're confident. They were confident with the system they made.
I also will say when you get the designs they went for with Zelda, I do actually like the designs they went for with Zelda in this one. Actually, particularly the outfit you get, because you get multiple outfits later, some of which you unlock through Amiibo. And the one you get sort of halfway through the game, I thought that's a fantastic redesign for Zelda.
I wonder which costume you're talking about in particular, Cal.
Anyway.
Bayonetta, scan the Bayonetta amiibo.
Do you know what's weird though? There's many outfits you get with them. There's hardly any that actually. Half of the Zelda outfits don't seem to work. Half of the Zelda amiibo don't seem to give you much of good of anything. So I'll give you an example. I actually went and scanned the ones I went for immediately were the ones that got the restocks because they were trying to do pre-orders on Nintendo UK's websites like this. You pre-order with this amiibo or pre-order with this amiibo. So I want to see, okay, what do you get for these amiibo? Those ones were quite good. I then tried scanning the Smash Brothers ones. I got sod all with them. So they're not great if I'm honest. I did like the fact I got the red tunic at one point for scanning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Calvin is officially doing pay to win with this game.
Well, that's the thing. Well, it's not pay to win. I find it a bit annoying as well, though. I don't think you can get the outfits without some of the outfits without the amiibo. And that
the certain color swapped outfits can only be unlocked for amiibo.
And that's annoying for me because the thing I liked about Tears of the Kingdom is, and Breath of the Wild as well had this feature, is you could get those outfits, you could get those items if you looked hard enough, but you could also skip the process if you had the amiibo. They don't have that option in this one. You have to have the amiibo to unlock these things.
The difference is in Breath of the Wild, the costumes were very much a gameplay mechanic. This is literally just cosmetics.
Yes, I grant you. So that one, so it's not as egregious. If they'd done it if they'd done this in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, it would have been way worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of agree. I also admit that final dungeon is very interesting for the most part. It does make you really rethink everything you've learned up to that point.
It's cool. I do like it.
I also think the enemies really hit hard in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means, but of course, the enemies that really hit hard, you want to beat them so you can get their echoes, because of course you can do that mechanic of firing.
Yeah. What were the main enemies you ended up using?
I mainly ended up using like the big knights. I used them quite a bit, but the
Dark Nuts.
The Dark Nuts.
I used a lot.
He's probably the biggest Zelda fan out of all of us. He doesn't know the fucking names.
No, it was skipping my head. I was like Dreadnoughts. I'm trying to remember.
It's Dark Nuts. It's always been Dark Nuts.
I did occasionally use the wizards. Often would be good ones to use.
The Wizrobes.
The Wizrobes. Yeah. God, my dyslexia is failing me with that one.
No, it's not dyslexia. You're just stupid.
I got the underwater enemies. As soon as I got the shark, that was it.
Yeah, the chomp fish.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
That reminds me. The tech types were really fucking annoying in this game.
Oh yeah.
I found myself consistently using the level 3 Lizalfos.
Yeah, those ones are quite good.
That was very useful because it also swims as well.
Yeah. So like Octoroks, there were Octoroks in water, no problem. Get the Alphas out.
There's
Now, whereas compared to me, I got the Lionel really early.
Oh, you found the Lionel.
Yeah, it's super easy to find. It just hits like a truck.
I never encountered the Lionel. I didn't realize he was in the game till I fought a shadow version of him at the end.
Yeah, same. I was like, wait a minute, the Lionel's in this game?
Yeah, I think it's like up in like the top left of the map. It's near the Lost Woods.
Oh.
You have to track it through the entire woods.
Oh, that's just gonna get.
And there's only one in the game.
Oh, that's gonna just get annoying at that certain point. That's just.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that being like an exclusive enemy you can find. Like they did a couple of those. Like the level 3 of the Zalphus was on. The level 3 Bokoblin was one.
I got that one. Yeah.
The thing with Lyle though, it's the most expensive to summon at 5 triangle shards. But it can pretty much like one shot most bosses by itself with no help.
I would have had it be 6 if that was going to be the case, because I suppose though they want to give you like the bare minimum number of shards you could get for just doing the That's another thing actually. They give you those optional like mini dungeons to increase the amount of things you can replicate or how much things cost or decrease the cost of things, but they sort of stopped. Like, after you get past the halfway point, I think they never show up again.
Yeah.
That was really weird to me. It's like, you had all these mini dungeons. They were really cool, and then you sort of gave up. I mean, they probably were limited by the size of the map and the memory space, so I'm not going to completely fall on that. That's actually one thing that everyone's pointed out. We have lost the elephant in the room. The fact this has really shown the Switch's age, because
the frame rate's not good.
The frame rate is awful in this game.
I mean, I think I could be wrong. I remember Link's Awakening having a couple frame rate problems.
Yeah, Link's Awakening had some frame rate problems, but it was mainly confined to those towns where there was a lot of people.
I mostly found that it was the case when there was showing off like the water graphics.
Yeah, that
within the game, and like how shiny it was. In this, pretty much all the time in the overworld, the frame rate tanks.
Yeah, because even at the start of the game, where you're just going through Hyrule Town all the way to the castle, that was dropping major frames for me.
But at that moment, I thought this is only going to really be an issue in towns where there's a lot of things for it to render. But it does seem to happen a lot in the overworld as well. There's some points where it runs quite well, but
it doesn't happen in like the smaller areas and in dungeons. I've noticed, which I feel like in dungeons is where you really need that frame rate. So I'm at least happy it's in there that we're all right.
If the Switch 2 does what like the Xbox Series X has done in terms of how it ups the performance of previous generations of Xbox games,
I imagine it will. I imagine it should.
I'd be very interested to see how Echoes of Wisdom performs on that one. Because I will say, Grezzo did make a beautiful looking game. They've done a really good job of taking that engine from Link's Awakening and doing something very interesting with all these different sort of environments.
I think, if I'm being honest, Link's Awakening looks a little bit better, but I think it's more because that game shows off the graphics a bit more. Meanwhile, this one, it kind of just mostly looks the same.
Yeah, but also you got to remember, Link's Awakening, there's not a lot of variety in those environments because they were limited by the fact it was a Game Boy game.
I will give it that. It was definitely very stagnant when it comes to variety, but at the same time, I think that gave the developers the chances to sort of show off how good the game can look. Meanwhile, this one, you get more variety, but the graphics, they're not downgraded, they're just same, really.
Yeah.
Kind of like Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, I guess.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. The only time I found the frame rate bad was that early on boss, the flying mole in the sands.
Oh yeah.
That tanks the frame rate for me.
I didn't notice it tanked for me though. Were you playing it in docked or handheld?
Handheld.
Yeah, I was playing it mostly in docked. I think that might have been the difference.
I did a mix of the two. I did a bit in docked and a bit in handheld, and I did find the performance improved when it was docked.
The That's pretty standard for Switch games, though, let's be honest.
I will also say as well, for playing in handheld, this game drains your battery really fast.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, I was really I actually I played a little bit of it when we were taking the flight to when me and Reese were on a flight to Germany, and I actually commented on the other end. Oh bloody hell! I've run out of a lot more battery than I expected to.
Yeah, just because it's so graphically intensive.
That was
the particle effects.
Oh, good God! I dread what Metroid Prime 4 is going to be like. It will set the Switch on fire after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It would start going off like the fan will go off like a gaming laptop.
I think I'm going to say the same thing that I said when Mario Wonder came out. I think it's a bit too soon to comment where this ranks with other 2D Zelda, particularly considering the fact that comparisons will be quite easy to make because pretty much every 2D Zelda, bar a couple of examples, is available on the Switch. I think the only 2D Zeldas that aren't on Switch are
Link Between Worlds.
That's the only one I could think of.
Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Well, in all fairness, those use the DS on the DS and 3DS and use a lot of touchscreens, so it's going to be difficult to translate those.
Yeah, I'll be very interested. Like, if they want to do, if like say Nintendo, for example, doesn't have much of a gimmick with the Switch 2, and they want to put DS or games or 3DS games on like an NSO, do they? How are they going to get around the touchscreen mechanic?
My guess they'll do what they did with The World Ends With You. They'll just sort of use gyro controls.
I see. Yeah, but I
make it shit.
Yeah, I really did not like the controls in the World Ends With You remix.
I have not played it. Which is, I would like to play the original, which is kind of shame because I know they have like extra content in the new one.
If you put it this way, if you're gonna play the final remix version, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, play the mobile phone version.
That's an unfortunate recommendation.
Yeah, because at least then the touch screen, it's made for it. The World Ends With You is made for a touch screen.
Yeah.
Unless you can guarantee that at all times, it's not gonna work.
I mean, my main hope is that down the line we get a remake of it in the style of Neo: The World Ends With You.
That would be fantastic if they did that. But again, I think Sqaure Enix is not, and we're going to possibly talk about this in a bit, but Sqaure Enix is not going to really be willing to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is falling below their expectations.
That's because their expectations are way too fucking high.
Well, that's going to be a thing we'll talk about later. So I would say my thoughts on Echoes of... I think we should kind of say, how do we feel like Echoes of Wisdom holds up though right now as we feel compared with other 2Ds? Like, let's say it's better than this or it's worse than this.
It's tough to compare it, I say, because it's a very different game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the other games are way more focused on combat, meanwhile this one is incredibly focused on puzzles.
I think it's... I
think it's sort of its own beast in the Zelda formula, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
I agree. I think it was a good way to tie us over until the Switch 2 comes out. Like, I don't think this will be the last Zelda release on the base Switch.
I feel like we'll get at least one more, potentially like a cross release with this and the Switch 2. I'm gonna
make a bit of a prediction. I think it's either one or both. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD coming to Switch.
Please, for the love of God, be both. Please, for the love of God, let that happen. I want to replay Twilight Princess so bad.
Because I've been hearing since 2021 that those things have been done for Switch, but they've just never found the right time to put them on the platform. And I'm like, well, what are you waiting for? These things would do fine.
Probably for a year when it didn't have a new Zelda out. Because they've had one every year.
Which next year they probably won't have a new Zelda out. Like, I don't believe they're going to have a Zelda in the first year of the new Switch, because let's be honest, Anuma's team have got to be in very early pre-production of whatever they're going to do next, and Grezzo have just released this. So who else do they have? They must have another studio that's working on Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Just get those out.
Please, for the love of God, I want to play those games so badly.
So,
as for Metacritic scores for this, it's got, strangely enough, critics and user scores are the exact same. 86.
86, yeah. So it's only one off the next game we're going to talk about, which is the game I've only always played this. I asked the others, but everyone's played the original version.
Quick question. Do you think this is an alright score? Do you think this score's about right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go over that. Yeah, I would say so. I would not want it to go into the 90s.
I'd probably put it higher, honestly.
Well, really interesting, because the thing is, as well, for me, I think... Did you guys think this game was a little too short?
No?
I did, yeah.
It took me taking me a little over 15 hours to get it. I think it's the right length for this kind of game.
I think you need a little bit.
I feel like with this kind of gameplay mechanic, it could very easily outstay its welcome and become a bit more troublesome.
I don't know.
And 2D Zeldas usually do have a pretty short runtime.
I don't know. I think I know what you mean, but I still thought like it was like they may need one more dungeon on top of that. It almost felt like, wow, we're already at the end. I wasn't expecting that.
I feel like it's the right length for this game. I don't mind that it's a bit shorter than your traditional normal ones. I mean, not every game's going to be Breath of the Wild. Not every game's going to be that length.
And not every game has to be either.
Yeah.
So let's talk then another game that's a little bit short because I'm about 4/5 of the way through it. It's Silent Hill 2 Remake, only available at the minute on PlayStation 5 and Steam. And I've heard the Steam numbers it's doing quite well on Steam.
Yeah.
In terms of sales. Now I'm the only one who's played the remake so far. The other two have played the original.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 87 on Metacritic. What's the user score at the minute?
Actually, you're wrong. It's 86.
86. So it went down one since I last checked.
It's now the same score as Echoes of Wisdom, and as for user score, 93.
Okay, right.
That's a lot higher.
I thought that was going to get reviewed. I actually thought, considering some of the discourse from, well, let's say, awful people on Twitter, I thought that they were going to review bomb this thing, and I'm kind of glad they haven't been bothered to do that.
As for the original Silent Hill 2, critic scores is 89. User scores is actually lower, 88.
That's funny. I would say, though, in terms of this one, if you've not got access to a PlayStation 2 disc, and you only want to play and you want to play a good version of Silent Hill 2, this is a great way to play it. I don't have access. Now, I will say it is a better version of the game than, say, the HD collection that you got.
Well, I'm fucking lucky then.
Oh, yeah, you have. I would say, though,
I've even got the making of DVD. I'm super happy about that.
Well, the thing is, as well, I said, this feels to me very similar to the Resident Evil 2 remake, is in, I could go back and play that PlayStation 1 original and I would feel happy, but I also really like this one. I think it's an excellent update.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I'm at the, to avoid too many spoilers, because I know some people are going to be playing Silent Hill 2 for the first time playing to see what all the buzz was about. I'm at the prison, so you guys know sort of how far it's. But I will say as well, it's like 10 hours more this game than the original.
Oh, really?
I think that's the case for a number of these remakes. I'm pretty sure Resident Evil 2 remake was longer than the original.
Yeah. So I'm at that. So I'm at the. Basically, I'm past the point of when you encounter Eddie in the canteen.
The final encounter is that?
Not exactly the final encounter, if you catch my drift.
So I got one more. Okay.
Also, I think they've cut one of my favorite lines from Silent Hill 2, which maybe I've not got to the point of it because my memory's obviously playing tricks on me. But that line, There's monsters out there, and you're eating pizza.
Yeah.
Whereabouts was that again? Was that in the prison or?
I think that was in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was earlier.
Oh yeah, they've cut the bowling alley. Yeah, they have.
They cut the bowling alley.
Yeah, the bowling alley's been cut.
Bloody hell.
So they give a lot more puzzles this time. There's a lot more mini buildings to go into. But yeah, the bowling alley's been cut. I completely forgot the bowling alley was a thing. Yeah, but no. So that line was cut. But they really do a good job with the remodels. Like Eddie actually is a lot creepier this time around. When
My main, like a lot of people's problems with the models were that wokeness. My main problem was just was with the models was just they didn't look very good. At least in the first trailer, my complaint was that they looked like characters from The Sims.
Can I point out that Elliot was doing inverted commas when they said woke? Because, again, that has been the discourse around Angela's model in particular, which was complete horse crap. I have no idea what they're on about. Like, they've posted all these things on Twitter, and I'm like, what the hell are you on about? She looks fine.
I have not seen any of that. The most I've seen of Silent Hill 2 is people either praising this, say, wow, this is actually good, what the hell? Or people showing off that Easter egg with the Comic Sans Silent Hill sign being thrown in the dumpster.
I will say, so obviously the game has received a bit of a re-script in certain areas. James is a lot more subdued in this game than he is in the original Silent Hill 2. He doesn't get as angry as often in this one, I find. He's actually, if anything, I think they did a much better. They try to go a bit more sympathetic with him this time round, which I find is an interesting direction to take it.
Which, yeah, considering the twist in Silent Hill 2, that's kind of an interesting way to go down, because I thought the original, like, they didn't make him sympathetic, but they still made him likable.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do with this one, but they're also kind of suggesting they're suggesting a bunch of things. I'm as far as I'm aware, I haven't got to when they give away the twist in Silent Hill, obviously, because you guys know the point I'm at. But they will. I will also say, Laura is a lot more better animated in this one than she is in the original. She actually seems to act more like a kid. This one, like.
Well, I imagine the animation in general would have been updated just because of the better tech.
Yeah, like I like the fact when she traps you in the room for the fight against Flesh Lips.
In a trailer, one thing I'm pretty sure I'm gonna miss when I finally play it is sort of the Uncanny Valley dialogue. Yeah, or more notably, the Uncanny Valley voice acting.
Yeah, no, they got rid of that completely.
So I really liked that actually in the first game. It made everything feel more out of place and eerie, strangely enough.
Okay, I'm gonna go over. I will say a couple of things I did like in this one. Maria's dialogue much better. This one. I also the combat, despite the fact we were all worried about that, they've handled it very well.
Yeah, I was really worried that they were going to make the game a lot more combat focused and easy, much more easy with this game.
One, it's a little more combat focused. Two, though, is not easy. It's that situation of you can do combat, but you really do not want to do combat because it's a lot more frugal on weapons, on ammo pickups. It's a lot more frugal on health pickups, particularly when you're in the main town. I'll put it this way. I got to a point in the prison where I had to where I was in such a dire situation, I just had to run for it. If I stayed to do any sort of combat, I was dead. And there's an early basically, you want to try and avoid combat as much as possible. So when I got into the first bit of the hospital, there's a bunch of nurses I didn't bother killing because I was like, well, they're on the other side of the room.
Yeah, that's the idea with Silent Hill. Yeah. You're meant to avoid combat rather than actually get. rather than actually fight in it. It's the same with all those old school survival horror games.
Now,
yeah, it's about stockpiling resources.
I did like those.
Yeah.
The one things they do is as well, they actually give you a different difficulty for the gameplay and combat, and a different difficulty for puzzles.
Huh.
So if you look on guides, it'll say this is
that is something I remember a lot of the older Silent Hill games doing, and I really like that. I really like that you can sort of swap between the two, do that with both puzzles and
Now, for the record, I played on standard difficulty for both, and I haven't found the puzzles have been too challenging to a point. Some of them I did have to look up what the solution was because I didn't quite get what they were going for. They do change up how some of the puzzles work from the original game. It's not, but also they do set up in a way that you can skip certain puzzles if you know the answer ahead of time. It's like if you're doing a replay and you want to go for a speed run and you remember what the solution is, you can just do it like that. I'll also say though, your issues on the models, a little from column, they are quite good if you're playing in fidelity mode. If you're playing in performance, I think what happened is all the Konami trailers were in fidelity mode and all the PlayStation trailers were in performance mode, and that's why we had our issues with it.
That's a problem because I was playing performance mode.
It honestly though, you don't miss it after a while. But this is one of the games that made me a bit tempted to maybe see if there was a PS5 Pro lying around, because I wonder if this gets a Pro enhancement. I think this would really benefit from it, because I will say once you get... It's only the early portions of the game where I found that the performance mode was dragging the experience down. Once you get into the later game, it's so dark half the bloody time, you're not going to notice it. Also, but another thing as well, the boss fights, the difficulty's been turned down significantly.
Oh, no.
Well, maybe it's just me, but I found, like, I only died once in the first encounter with Pyramid Head. I didn't die once during the fight with Flesh Lips. So it does feel like they put all the difficulty into the general encounters, but they haven't put much difficulty into the boss fights. Mind you, that being said, I was down to my last bullet with Pyramid Head. Of course. And the game gives you a lot of bullets at that point.
Well, we all know your track record from Resident Evil, Cal. When rocket launches on anything.
Oh god, you guys are not gonna like it if I ever stream this, because I'm probably gonna piss you off. With
please don't. That was painful. No, I'm meant to kill the enemies. It's survival horror. You're meant to avoid them.
The problem. So, but I will say, all things considered, they did a very good job. Bloober Team did a very good job with this one, because the one weakness they've always had is their narratives. Like the Medium's narrative isn't that good.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, the Blair Witch game narrative isn't very good. But this time, because they were basically said, no, you have to just do, you can't change it up. Yeah, Konami has clearly said to them, you just have to do Silent Hill 2. Don't go nuts with it. Just make Silent Hill 2.
My one hope is that this does well enough that they start remaking all the older games. I'm desperate for Silent Hill 1 remake.
I would personally prefer they do Silent Hill 3 after this. I think that one would do very well with it.
No, I think 1 needs a remake the most.
One's already had
I thought which game needs it the most. 4, so you bring Tommy Wiseau as a cameo.
You know what? I do really want 4 I do really want a 4 remake. Like I feel like 4 is definitely the underdog of the series.
Yeah, but 4's narrative isn't very good.
I like it. I liked it.
What about also Silent Hill 1 already had a remake on the Wii.
Oh come on, that's barely a remake.
I know. I just wanted to see what you'd say.
Also had a PS2 port.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Which is really fucking expensive.
Yeah, but you gotta admit, you are right though on the sense of there's no reason to go back to the first Silent Hill other than historical reasons, because it is very dated in several regards.
I would still go back to it. I just want a remake of it.
Yeah. No. Oh, here's
Just think of all the games that it needs one the most.
Do you know one of the games I would really love them to port? Not necessarily remake, but port it. Silent Hill Downpour.
Downpour. I'm actually one of the people who thinks Downpour's pretty good.
No, I'm with you on that one. I think Downpour's a really underrated game. Also,
I think it's because when it came out at launch, it was it was just incredibly buggy. I think though when you look at it story wise, it's like the closest to a Silent Hill game we've had since 4.
Also, there's a really good comic called Silent Hill Downpour: Angela's Story. Really recommend picking that one up. It's a very good, like, what happened in the middle of the game. Also, another one I'd really like to bring over to, like, because I think Konami must now be open to the idea of bringing these games to PSN.
The Game Boy Advance visual novel.
No, I'm thinking, like, there's maybe Silent Hill 1 on the PS1. Maybe the original versions of those Silent Hill games from the PS2, get those emulators working. The other one, though, another one which I think is underrated, but I really like it, the PSP game Silent Hill Origins.
I've heard not great. I haven't played it, but I've heard very mixed things on that one.
Put it this way, I think it's mainly because it's on PSP. I think if you put that on...
No, one of the main problems I've heard with it is that it's very generous with weapons.
Yeah, okay, I will grant you that is a bit of an issue. It is a bit generous on that front. I really like Silent Hill 2. I think, and I think that with that review score though, and its reception, it's got to be in the conversation when we get to the end of the year and we're all picking our best games of the year.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm presumably I would say, guys, if you were ever on the fence about it, it is a very good remake of Silent Hill 2. You absolutely should pick it up when you have the time for it.
I'd definitely be playing the original when I play it to compare them.
Yeah, and don't play the HD remaster. It's not very good. Remaster.
I've got the PS2 version. I'm good.
I did actually try to replay it when anticipation for this one coming out on the Xbox. It was not a great way to replay it.
Yeah, obviously nobody likes the HD collection.
I will say though they did do a pretty good job with the remake of the pizza line, but I will say, but again, I would not be surprised if this is up for. I don't know if this was up at the Game Awards, say for best narrative. Would we think that would be cheating?
Well, if it's not changed the narrative that fundamentally, then pretty much yeah.
Yeah,
it's just a repeat.
I would say
it is just saying the same story.
I would say, in terms of how it changed the narrative, it's somewhere between the Resident Evil remakes and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It kind of changes up a couple of things, but it doesn't fundamentally change the story and the structure.
Unless you're Resident Evil 4, in which case they completely change the ending.
Oh yeah, that was surprising when they changed the ending of Resident Evil 4.
Anyway, I think we need to move on now. You said you're not going to spend long on this. I think we spent as much time as we did on Zelda.
Let's go with the game I really don't want to spend much time on because it's been a disappointment for me. The Plucky Squire. It was on... for the record, I played the PlayStation 5 version because it was on PSN. Have you guys played it yet?
I've downloaded it.
Oh, yeah. I've
downloaded it. Haven't played it.
Reese?
Yeah, same as I downloaded, not played it yet.
Don't bother.
It's got good reviews.
I would say though, I found it. There's a couple of issues I have with it. One, it's fun. I found it fundamentally unremarkable in a lot of ways. Like it's great in like the humor it pokes, and the 2D Zelda mechanics are quite good. The 3D sections are so scripted, and that they don't feel as clever as I think the trailers made it out to be.
I think it's kind of a cool idea. The premise is basically the wizard in the children's storybook realizes he's going to lose at the end, so he just decides to rewrite it.
Yeah, that's the part that works very well. Narratively, it's great, and I'd say
it's basically that one character from the Magic the Gathering lore.
But the other thing is, well, actually, they bring Magic the Gathering. Actually, there's a Magic the Gathering parody in it.
That's sick.
Because one of the boss fights is you want to get the bow weapon. You go into the 3D world and then go into a Magic the Gathering card and do a turn-based fight with it, and then you get the bow for the main game. So essentially, And they basically did imply this is basically Magic the Gathering with the serial numbers filed off. But there's a bunch of clever boss fights. There's one that's a homage to Punch Out. But it's also, you remember that thing, Elliot, where you say it's trying too many things and you haven't quite nailed the fundamental thing.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of feels with this one. They haven't nailed the fundamental thing, which is the 2D Zelda homage. And it's like, it works in parts, but in other parts I felt off. Like, the puzzles are quite good. But here's the thing, though. I've not beaten this game because it's been constantly soft-locking on me.
Mm.
I've run into about 3 different soft locks since I started playing. Mainly because part of the way, one of the ones it was, part of the way through, the game gives you the ability to sort of go out and tilt the book to move items in the game. So, like, you move a boulder out of the way by tilting the right page. The thing is, though, I did a bit too much and closed the book. But then because a cutscene was meant to trigger, the book would not let me reopen it. So I had to restart and do the whole thing again. And there's a few glitches like that screwed me over. And I was like, oh, God, I've had to restart this thing so many times. So I would say, if you've got it downloaded but you haven't played it, wait till it gets a patch.
Yeah.
Because there's some serious bugs they need to fix. But
it sounds like me with Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah,
I was having side quests that constantly broke.
I'm looking at the reviews. No one's mentioning no one's mentioned the soft locks or anything.
Now, is that the professional reviews or the user reviews?
I'm looking at both.
Which is funny because I was hearing that there was other soft locks, but again, you can't. I'm not making this up. I genuinely have had 3 different soft locks since I've been playing it.
All the negative reviews are just saying is they don't enjoy that the level design gets tiresome after a while. That it's not really that difficult. That it's not really that difficult. That it just gets boring after a while. That kind of stuff.
I don't mind the low difficulty because this is like a game aimed at a very evergreen audience. But what the heck? But I do agree that
mind you, I am looking at the PC reviews.
Oh right.
It could be a PS5 problem.
Yeah. That might be where the issue is. It might be. Maybe if I played the PC version, I would have run into less issues. I definitely wasn't going to get it on the Switch because the file size for the Switch version is huge. It's about the same as... I think it's more than Tears of the Kingdom.
Really?
Seriously, it's like 17 gigabytes, the Switch file.
One sec.
It was at least 11 or 7. It was at least 11 gigabytes as I recall, because it was definitely double digits, and I remember going, I am not getting a double digit Switch game.
It is 10 gigabytes.
Okay, that I don't know where you got that. It was at Nintendo.
Oh wait, the Plucky Squire. Yeah, it's 10 gigabytes.
That is weird because I swear I went on the Nintendo store and it told me 17.
Nope, it is 10.
That is surprising. That's actually Nintendo's official page.
Not Nintendo's official page, but it is on Nintendo Everything.
Right, I'll be interested to see if there's been if maybe there was a mix-up on the eShop the day I saw that. But I'd say, here's the thing though, Plucky Squire, it's a fine enough game, but it was a bit unremarkable for my liking, and it doesn't need. I think the glitches did throw me off quite a bit.
Mm.
Maybe when this game gets patched, I'll actually have a better opinion of it. So I would be happy to do a revisit at some point and say, I got it wrong. Now that it's all patched out, I actually really like the last portion of this game. Does a good job. And I do think it is quite funny in parts.
As I said, it does have some pretty good scores.
So
83 for critics, 7.6 for fans.
I think this came out, though, at a bad time, because it came out at a time when there was a lot coming out, and it was going to get buried in the coverage.
I don't know. A lot of people were really looking forward to it.
Okay. So Elliot, you've been playing
Reinatus, yeah. The only reason this game even got on my radar was because they were doing a collab with Neo: The World Ends With You, which I fucking loved the year it came out.
Yeah, I love that game as well. That was great. What do you think of the base game though, without going into the crossover stuff? I'm getting a sense of there's not going to be much to talk about here because it's such a meh game.
It's a mixed affair, I'll say that. And apparently a lot of people agree because the critic score is overwhelmingly average.
So it's again, I feel like Sqaure Enix said I feel like they went to Sqaure Enix and said about Neo: The World Ends With You, and they were like, "What, really? You want to do something with this? Even we don't want to do something with this. Fine, whatever."
The premise is the idea of this game is sort of similar to many other similar to a number of other anime stories. It follows characters who are incredibly close to death who have like near-death experiences, are able to become wizards and like gain strange powers. There's the main guy is called Marin, who is wanting to become the strongest wizard for some reason. Has never actually explained when asked about it, his literal response is, "We'll get there when we get there." And we also follow another character whose name I can't remember, who's part of a sort of wizard police squad called the MEA, and the organization is of course a little bit corrupt and sketchy, and the story is very unremarkable.
Yeah, no, I guarantee you that one. So is this like a gacha game in that sense?
No, it's not.
Okay.
There's a definite story. It's like a definite single player story. I will admit the combat looks very stylistic. Like the combat, the combat is very fast paced. There's a lot of leaps. There's a lot of leaping and sort of sparkles, for lack of better terms, when you fight enemies.
Okay,
but it's all style, no substance.
Okay, have you got to the Neo: The World Ends With You crossover stuff yet?
I have. It's like an optional side portal thing you have to go through.
Is it any good?
No.
Good. So
one of the things I was kind of hoping for in it was that you can play as Rindo or as a couple of the other characters from Neo: The World Ends With You. You don't. They're just there, just transported to their Shibuya, which doesn't look any different from the Shibuya traversing in this game, except for the fact that instead of Shibuya, one of the buildings is 109 Shibuya instead of 104 Shibuya.
Oh, great.
You do also fight some of the noise, but they don't really. There's not really much of a difference compared to Reinatus' other enemies that you fight. There's you do meet the characters, but they look so out of place to you.
Right.
Like they do not look good at all, and there's no voice dialogue. There's like no voice acting.
That is
which
bizarre.
Is really weird compared to the rest of the games. Like they couldn't. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get the original voice actors to come in and do voice lines or anything.
Yeah, they might have been on work on other projects. I mean, wait a bit. They'll do a Persona 5 crossover because every game from Japan crosses over with Persona 5 at some point.
Yeah.
And as we've also seen now, even planes are doing crossovers with Persona 5.
Not to mention, one of the things that really bothers me, this game looks like a fucking PS2 game.
Yeah, you said it the other day. You said it does not in a
in a stylized way. Like I made a comparison now. I'll give it again now. There's a game that recently came out called Hollow Body, which is like an homage to sort of the old PS2 Silent Hill games and horror games around that era, and that is like fully stylized to look like those games. This one, on the other hand, now the character models just look like they're from a PS2 game, like to the point where you occasionally get like actual lip syncing. Sometimes you just get the Kingdom Hearts lip syncing, where it's just the character's mouth moving up and down, and then sometimes you don't even get any lip syncing at all. The character's mouth is just shut.
Is it as bad as the Final Fantasy X-2 one with the nerve, and it's doing so many lip flaps that is like
I've not played Final Fantasy X-2. I would not know. But the characters look really jagged and just look unappealing. The character design is great. I do like the character design, even though Marin does look like he's straight out of Kingdom Hearts. But
there's nothing wrong with Kingdom Hearts.
This game does not look good.
What's wrong with Kingdom Hearts?
No, I'm more mean like just in clothing.
Right, I see. So
look up what Marin looks like. You'll fully see. Okay, yeah, he just looks like a Kingdom Hearts character.
Well, by that logic, I'm guessing also giant feet.
Nah, unfortunately, he doesn't have Mickey Mouse shoes.
Let's see.
And Cal's now gutted. 0 out of 10.
But I don't really know what to...
Holy shit! They weren't even trying to cover that one up.
Yeah, he looks like Kingdom Hearts, doesn't he?
Oh my god, they weren't even trying with that one. That's like if you put into ChatGPT, draw me a Kingdom Hearts OC.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Really, I'm gonna be honest. I'm lightly not even gonna. I'm like, I think halfway through the game, I'm lightly just gonna drop in and focus on Metaphor ReFantasio.
Do it. Metaphor's great. I've only played.
Yeah, because like that game's already over 100 hours, and yeah, this game just has like, as I said, all style, no substance, because it's similar to how. I guess as a weird comparison, Tales of Arise does it. Like you have a standard normal type, but you have a couple of skills on the side that you can use, and enemies. And there's a really fucking annoying thing that happens like with Marin when you play as Marin, because he's an illegal wizard, and like same with the MEA characters you play as later, because they sort of get kicked out of the organization. If you change into like your wizard form, which for these characters basically means you remove your hood or take off a hat, your wizard form just comes out. You have to then hide, or like leave the area, because you'll start trend. Because to put it simply, you'll start trending on social media, and if you get to number one, if you become number one on trend, the fuzz will come after you.
Sorry.
And I'm not kidding. This happens after every fucking fight. Whether it's a random encounter or a story fight, that just happens.
That would just...
And at first, it's just like, okay, that's okay. It's just saying, okay, that makes sense story-wise. But after a while, it gets really fucking annoying.
Also, story-wise, what is the concept of an illegal wizard? You're not licensed?
Basically, you're just not with the MEA.
Right, so...
Because the MEA... Basically, they find wizards who are about the place and recruits them basically so they can keep them under control.
Okay, so I think we've covered this one, Elliot. I think you are not impressed at all with
it. If you want my suggestion, don't play it. It's boring. It's not fun. The story is it can be fun at times, but the charm runs out very quickly. Story's bad. It has a 6.7 user score, 57 Metacritic score. I think the Metacritic score is right.
Also, well, and even if you wanted it for the World Ends With You content, there's not enough there.
Yeah, if you want the World Ends With You content, just play World Ends With You again. It's much better.
Yeah, no, seriously, I love Neo: The World Ends With You. Fantastic.
It is great. I love it.
So, only one other game before we go to the news item. So this will be very, very brief because there's not much to discuss about it. I got my PSVR 2 headset back out because of the release of Metal Hellsinger VR. And I will say, having played it now, with a couple of issues I have with it, it's the definitive way to play the game.
In other words, people spend over 1,000 quid so you can play this game.
But
slightly better, Elliot. play this game slightly better.
I will stress it.
Hey, I like the PC version. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite rhythm games.
If you're gonna, now I will say, Elliot is completely right. If you are not going to play it on VR, get the PC version because that's the next best way to play it.
It is the definitive version, in my opinion.
I will say, as much as I say it's a definitive version, I will say you don't need to spend all that money to get a headset. It also works on MetaQuest, I should say.
Okay.
So it's not
Facebook.
It's not just a VR2 thing.
You know what you say? You say that my dad has a MetaQuest. He's addicted to it.
So if you want to give it a go, buy it for your dad and then try it out on that thing. If you want to give it a go, I don't like the way some of the guns reload. They don't quite like the big crossbow you get. Yeah. I was trying to figure out how do you reload this thing. You're supposed to lift up your arm like that, and it will. That's not great for the audio format, but you basically lift up your arm to your shoulder, and that reloads the gun.
Yeah, that's how a lot of VR games do the whole reloading thing. You just move it to your shoulder, and then you're back.
The weird one was like the shotgun. You're supposed to sort of use the second control to lift it up like that, and the twin pistols have the weird ones because you're sort of meant to move them to your side like that, and then they get reloaded. But no, some of it is quite hard to keep the rhythm. The worst one is the boomerangs. They are utterly awful to use in VR.
Yeah, I found them pretty, considering like in PC they're pretty easy to use.
No, they are awful because I was like, I'm chucking it. I'm like, what? I'm supposed to sort of press. So do I hold down the trigger button and then do the throwing motion? And then, no, you're supposed to sort of throw motion and then hit the trigger button. Oh god, this is so hard to figure out, and to get this to the rhythm is impossible.
Quick question: does this come with a DLC?
Yes and no. It does come with a DLC, but you have to purchase it again.
That's what I meant. Did the game just come with the DLC free?
No, you have to purchase it again.
Fuck off then.
Yeah, that was my annoyance because I bought this from the PS5 version. Why do I not have access to the DLC now? Especially considering I'm paying more for the VR version. I think it's like £10 more to buy the VR version. So I would say if you've got the headset to do it, it's a great way to play Metal Hellsinger VR, as long as you get the right weapons for it. It's not something you have to go out your way to experience it, and you'll get just as good an experience. You will get a good experience if you play it on the consoles, and I would say you get almost as good an experience if you play it on PC. So let's move into the news items, and I think the first thing we should cover, because I don't want to start on a real downer, there was a state of play while we were gone. Yay! And
it was so forgettable, we all forgot about it.
Well, the weird thing is, as well, people said...
How could we? They announced a Fortnite controller.
There was some good stuff in it. We had...
which can I just say, that's the ugliest fucking DualSense I've ever seen.
They had some good stuff in it. They had... I was about to say, the only DualSenses I've been tempted to get, like, speciality ones, were the...
Concord.
They never did one for Concord, I don't think.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, yeah, they did. And now it goes for loads on eBay because it's a cancelled game. No, the only ones I was tempted by were the 30th anniversary one and the Astrobot one. I never got either of them, though.
You got the God of War one.
Well, the reason you not got the 30th anniversary was because it's not been released yet, Cal.
Yeah, no, I tried to pre-order it. This thing just crashed on me because they put everything on at once. They had the PS5 Pro, the 30th anniversary Pro, the 30th anniversary Slim. All of it went up for pre-order at once. Of course, there was going to be a disaster using that site. So can we? So I might try and get them because I've only got one working DualSense right now, and I think that considering how prone they are to drift, I think I need to get another one as a backup when I'm ready for when it happens inevitably. I'm going to scour eBay at some point to get the Astrobot one.
Yeah,
because I reckon I'll get that cheaper than I will the 30th anniversary one. That's going to go really expensive.
No, you won't. It'll cost a lot. We all know it.
Which is why I'm thinking of buying my time until the new year, and I think it will go down in price by then.
Trust me, it will not.
So let's.
It's going to increase if anything.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of good other stuff in this state of play. There was Lego Horizon got a release date for November.
Yep, and it's getting a microtransaction roller coaster.
Are they actually getting microtransactions for that, or is that?
Yeah, it's just that roller coaster. You pay extra for it.
That is weird.
Special edition.
That is a weird one to have a thing on. They also announced that rather pointless PS5 version of Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't see the reason for that to exist.
No one does.
But if
and that's good for a person who's got the platinum in the original as well.
Yeah,
there's no reason to go back. You can just play the PS4 version.
And that's come for someone who's planning on getting a platinum for that one.
What about, but I did like this, the couple of other good things. Dynasty Warriors Origins got a January release date.
Yep, looking forward to that. Should be cool. I never played an actual Dynasty Warriors game, so it'll be interesting.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I played all the clones, just not the actual Get series.
Well, did you play the best clone, Elliot, the Gundam one?
No, I did not.
What about...
I did play Fire Emblem Warriors.
Oh, God.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's a very average one. Let's talk about, though, there's a couple of big ones in there.
One game I really love the look of, the Midnight Walk.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It's all stop motion. I love that.
One. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for stop motion animation. This looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm tempted to sort of like go back and forth between playing on the TV and playing in VR to see what difference the VR does actually make to it, because it looked like they designed it with both in mind.
Yes,
Stellar Blade and Neo Automata are doing a collab.
That was great.
Honestly, perfect collab in my eyes. Both those games are awesome.
Yeah, and there's more, and there's even more content coming to Stellar Blade.
Yeah, we also got the Stellar Blade coming to Astrobots.
Yeah.
One of the two of the 10 new robots confirmed coming in the DLC. We know the other one is the divers from Helldivers. They didn't reveal the other ones though, but we know none of them are going to be Sqaure Enix, because Team Asobi confirmed that they did ask Sqaure Enix, but they said no.
Yep. They said, piss off.
Which is amazing considering what they've been up to recently.
We got remasters for fucking Soul Reaver.
Yeah, those are.
That's awesome. I love that.
That would have hit better if it hadn't they hadn't been pre-announced in a trailer beforehand. But in PSN, Dino Crisis coming back to PSN. That'll be out next week on the 15th of October.
And it's the only love that series is going to get.
Big one for me. Fucking Alan Wake 2 DLC.
Alan Wake 2 DLC, and it looks like it's crossing over with Control.
Yeah. I mean, they're already in the same universe already. So that's fucking. I'm so excited for that. It looks terrifying as well.
Yeah, it's called the Lake House, isn't it, Elliot?
Yeah, Lake House.
One of the things I found interesting, though, another game, it wasn't in the State of Play, but it was in the recent update to PSN. Sirens coming back to PSN.
Yeah.
Woo! Actually, technically, we already have it on PS5. You can just buy it from the PS5 store.
I think this is gonna. Oh yeah, but I think
I'm not kidding. I've had it on my PS5 for like a year now.
Yeah, but that's not available in some countries. So some countries are getting it for the first time. I think Korea's getting it for the first time, for example. I mean, that was one of the because I remember it showed up on the Korean rating board, and we were all wondering what was going on with that. While we're on the subject though, of the thing, I think the two biggest things to talk about though were Monster Hunter World's got a release date.
Wilds.
Sorry, I keep getting mixed up.
Wilds, get your fucking head straight.
So it's Monster Hunter Wilds. It's got a release date of February the 28th.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I'm getting a little. I will be honest. I'm getting a little tired of seeing the Monster Hunter trailers. It feels like every single showcase they're just showing off this game.
I will point out, Elliot, you're probably going to see.
I get it's big. And I'm looking forward to it, but. I'm just it just gets tiresome after a while.
Well, it's not just big; it's the highest selling games from Capcom, so it's getting a big marketing push.
Yeah,
I know. It's their biggest franchise at the minute. It's just again, I'm just someone who, if he sees too much of something, just loses interest.
Here's the thing, Elliot. In terms of like where they're going to do it now, there's probably going to be one more trailer at the Game Awards pre-show. They'll show off one more monster. and then they won't really show it much until the release. Most of
I feel like we'll get a state of play before the game comes out. Then they'll show off then again.
But I think most of what they're going to show off is going to be in Monster Hunter dedicated streams. That's what they did before Rise. That's what they did before Worlds.
Yeah.
They tend to now, when they have the release date, just mostly do self-contained streams. Which
it's a me thing. I fully admit it's a me thing.
Which I actually did watch some of the Tokyo Game Show they did for that, and it was some cool stuff. They're adding some classic bosses from the very early days.
Yeah, the very first gatekeeper, the Wyan Kutku from the very first game. That's just a massive meme in the community.
That's amazing that it took very long for that to come back. But of course, they did. I think they gave a name to the cover monster that they've got for this one.
Oh yes. The title's like the White Wraith or something, but it has an official name.
But it's a cool looking monster, I will say. I don't think I like the design as much as Magna Marlowe's design, though, from Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah.
Which versions we going with?
I'm going to get the PS5 version just because I know everyone else is going to be on that. So I've got Reese to help me, and when I've got a monster I can't beat.
And you can also do streams.
Yeah. Of course. You want Reese to be your clutch.
Yes, Reese is mine and Ren's crutch, and we bow before him.
I'm the only one who's good at fucking games.
So, but there's one more I feel we need to talk. One more game I feel we need to talk
obviously,
about.
Ghost of Yotei.
Ghost of Yotei. Or Yotei is pronounced, is it?
I'm pretty sure it's Yotei.
So Ghost of Yotei, that's coming...
Oh, one sec. Well,
it's a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. It's coming in 2025. If I hadn't seen gameplay in that trailer, I wouldn't believe it was coming in 2025.
Yeah.
But
it is Yotei.
Ghost of Yotei comes out in 2025, I think, and the gameplay looks really good for it.
It's just more Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean, it's set like...
That's not a complaint. It looks great. I love Ghost of Tsushima. It's my game of 2019.
Yeah, you love Ghost of 2020.
No, 2020, sorry. 2020. Yeah, it was my game of 2020. It's great.
You love Ghost of Tsushima. Reese, you really like Ghost of Tsushima as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I got the platinum for it, so if that's any...
Yeah, no, it's... but here's the thing. I think that's a good extra big tentpole for PlayStation to have next year. They have their first party big hit with Ghost of Yotei, and they've now got their big third party hit exclusive with Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to say now, with Ghost of Yotei, they are doing everything I wanted them to do with a Ghost of Tsushima sequel. It's not taking place in Tsushima. It's following a different character. Both of those things I was so worried about getting a Ghost of Tsushima sequel because I was worried they're going to pad out Jin's story. I was going to take place in Tsushima again. No, they're doing it completely differently, and I love that. I'm so happy they're doing that.
Yeah, there's also a big time jump, 300 years forward. Yeah.
I remember seeing someone on Twitter complain and say, "Oh, they could have continued Jin's story, though. They could have continued it." And they're just like, "Ow, well, the Shogun are after him, and it could have led into the Second Mongolian War." Except Jin doesn't have a reason to go after the Shogun. And if I remember correctly, in history, the Mongolians never even made it to Tsushima.
Yeah, that's the whole
thing. And they're just saying, like, well, it's fiction. You could do whatever you want. It's based in history, you dullard.
Yeah, that's the point. The point is, they really ended that game with Jin's story is over.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they could have done him going after the Shogun, but what would they have done? We know how it's going to end. Jin's not going to be able to beat the Shogun because they don't really get demolished until like the 1800s.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think, and people said it was a not very good state of play, but the Ghost of Yotei announcement saved it. I disagree completely.
This is one of the best ones in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a really good one.
We got a bunch of stuff that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Stellar Blade crossover was great. The Astrobot DLC was a good way to start, and the fact that's coming before the end of the year, is fantastic.
Legacy of Kain remaster of the Midnight Walk.
The PSN.
There was a ton of stuff. Yeah, there we go. That just looks really cool.
Yeah, the PSN stuff was even cool. Like they to confirm Dino Crisis was coming back was awesome. Okay, so we have to now talk about what PlayStation's screw up this month, which is Little Big Planet 3 is being removed from the PSN store and it will not be purchasable digitally after what date did they say it wasn't going to be purchasable from?
I think it was like early November, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's November. It's early November. You're not going to be able to purchase Little Big Planet 3. And I actually did make sure to go out and buy a copy of Little Big Planet 3 upon hearing this.
Oh no,
it will be taken off on Halloween.
Yeah, October 31st, just before November.
Oh, great. So, yeah, I went off and bought Little Big Planet 3 and I bought... and I actually found out I have some of my downloadable content from the other Little Big Planet games just immediately available. I don't know why I never got around to Little Big Planet 3 on PS4. I should have done that. But I wanted to make sure I had a copy of it. So if the plan was to drive up some last-minute sales, they've succeeded. But people go out and buy it because it's very clear that they're seeing Sackboy and the franchise as being disposable now that Media Molecule doesn't really want to do anything with it.
I don't see this as an insane loss because you can still buy it physically. What I do see as a loss is that they're also taking the DLC away.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, there's a lot of great DLC in Little Big Planet 3, and that's going to be gone in like just a couple of weeks. Like,
and also all the fan created stuff when those servers go down.
Yeah, so like when that and I'm glad that Sackboy's not entirely gone with PlayStation because they did do Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and I reckon Sumo Digital will want to do another game because that sold quite well from what I heard.
Yeah.
But it does give this impression that digital content is disposable, and many of these games are going to eventually be disposed of if they weren't these huge selling games. Like, how long till we can't buy Concrete Genie anymore, for example?
Apparently, the reason why they are taking it off is because is after years of insurmountable server issues caused by hackers.
Oh.
I mean,
so there is a reason why they're taking it off, it seems.
Yeah, I know, but I get there must have been reasons. I actually thought when I heard it, I thought it was a licensing issue with all the different licenses. But again, as you pointed out, that's clear. That's at least not the official reason that's been put out. And if it was a licensing, issue, they'd be able to say it's a licensing issue. We companies say that all the time. Like, yeah. I imagine Monster Hunter Rise would be very difficult to re-release in the future and keep all the Sonic content, for example, because they have to go back to Sega and say, can we have that content again?
And it's also the same with the older games where we've had crossovers like Devil May Cry.
Or Nintendo, or even like Nintendo crossovers with like Zelda was in there.
The Devil May Cry one is that they're owned by Capcom as well, so that's not going to be an issue because they still own the license for it.
Definitely the Japan exclusive crossover with Pizza Hut.
Oh, that was weird. Yeah, that was really weird. I mean, were you guys really big Little Big Planet fans when it first came out?
I haven't played any of the games.
And you're not, Reese?
No.
See, I was really into the first Little Big Planet. It was probably one of my favourite PS3 games. But others say, I fully admit... it does feel like as well, though, PlayStation is losing a bit of their very creative IPs with this. Because I don't want PlayStation to just be known as the shoulder view cinematics games company. I want them to branch out and make these games like Gravity Rush, like Twisted Metal, like Sackboys, like Astrobots, like Loco Roco and Ape Escape, like these very clever, innovative ideas. And it feels like Sony's moving further and further away from it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we've gotten some great stuff out of that. I'm not going to denounce the God of War games that we've had. Those are great. I really enjoy, and I've really enjoyed some other games they've done, like Horizon. For all my faults on it, I think they are still good games. I like them more than The Last of Us.
Yeah.
But okay, so
let's be honest, most of Sony's stuff is better than fucking Last of Us Part 2.
So, while people are getting the pitchforks ready, let's talk about something a bit. Let's do one more negative thing before we end on a very positive thing, which is Sqaure Enix has come out and recently said Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16 underperformed in sales.
They said that ages ago.
Yeah, but they've added 16. They said 16 ages ago. 7 Rebirth they've now confirmed also underperformed. To which point I'm kind of thinking, what were you expecting?
I always say that. Like, let's be honest. Saying that Sqaure Enix says one of the games is underperformed is like saying reporting that Nintendo are going after another emulation site. It's nothing new.
Oh
really.
Yeah. Speaking of which, of course, none of us got that testing that new thing for NSO thing, and even if we did, we wouldn't be allowed to talk about it because everyone who's doing it is under NDA.
Hope you all enjoy your Nintendo alarm clock.
I'll bet you anything. Do you know what? I was kind of thinking, do I go?
I want that. I want Bowser to scream at me and to get up in the morning.
I was kind of feeling a bit like Scott the Was at that moment, sort of thinking, do I buy this for just how weird it is? But then I thought, no, I've got better use to my money than to be weird.
Yeah, like buying a Sonic golf cart.
The thing is, though, I think it's setting unrealistic expectations for Square, and when they get round to it, what is going to be their attitude going forwards? Are they going to be like go the way of Konami and go less and less into game development and do something? Go fully into NFTs, for example. I don't think they will because that market is dying a death, and it will go. And from what I've heard, what's basically going to happen with NFTs and crypto is it's going to move to what it's probably going to go what Dan Olsen suggested. It's going to go to be like multi-level marketing schemes now, where you'll be like that person you like saying, "Oh no, they got into crypto," so where it's just going to be your weirdo mates who haven't realised they're being scammed.
I think even crypto's dying at the minute.
Yeah, that's having another massive crash. It'll never completely die, but it will just have but it's never going to reach the heights it did when Bitcoin first.
I'll be honest, whenever I think of crypto, I just think of that horrible Crypto Land trailer.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Every time it comes to my head as well. And that terrible.
Every time it comes to my head, I just think of fucking that coin and all those people badly singing Aladdin songs.
Yeah, or they tried to do that Grease parody for some reason.
Yeah,
that was so bizarre. Anyway,
of course that awful tweet they made out that completely killed the production, creation of that.
So hang on a second. Here's what I want to ask though on the Square subject. Do they think they're going to say the same thing about Dragon Quest III HD 2D?
I imagine they will.
Yeah.
Because I reckon they will as well. Because I reckon they're going to say it will sell huge in Japan. Like this is going to be nuts in Japan. But they're expecting that those nut sales in Japan will go worldwide. And I feel like saying, Dragon Quest isn't as big in America and Europe as it is in
Over
Japan.
here is Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I would.
Over there's Dragon Quest. Like I'm a big Dragon Quest. Like I'll be honest, I'm more of a Dragon Quest fan than I am Final Fantasy. Even I'm willing to admit, it's not going to sell great here.
Well, let me add another thing to this though. I think Final Fantasy's lost a little bit of its muster. I don't think it's as big as it was when we were younger.
When you were younger,
I should say, me and Reese in particular. Like, I don't think it's ever gonna get to the heights of the hype for when Final Fantasy X was coming out. I remember the hype for that game. That was huge.
Like if you need a comparison, when Final Fantasy VII came out, I was only a few months old.
Yeah, that's a good.
I was a baby.
But let's.
I was 52.
Fuck off.
Calvin was just retiring.
I was 7 years old at the time.
And the rest.
Good God. But here's the so I don't think this is going to change much of Square's production now, because they've already committed to a third game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake universe.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to see Final Fantasy 16 branch out. They'll probably make up a bunch of sales with the Xbox version.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Do we think this means what's going to happen when... Well, face it, it'll be the next generation now, considering how long these games take to make. But Final Fantasy 17, is that going to be PlayStation 6 exclusive? Or do we think they branch out and say, no, it is going to go multi-platform on day one?
Tough to say.
I think it may go multi-plat just so they can recoup some of their development costs earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're well over the idea of exclusives at this point, and I think my hope is as well, whatever yes men are giving them these unrealistic expectations are going to be gone soon, because they are not doing well with this one. Like, I'm wondering what their sales expectations are for example, that Final Fantasy IX remake, which is the worst kept secret in the company right now. Like, are they anticipating that? Because that's not going to sell huge. Let's be honest. Like, Final Fantasy IX is a cult favorite. It's not the wow, that's the most amazing Final Fantasy.
It's mostly going to be bought by 30-year-olds wishing to experience their childhood again, I think.
Heyo.
Yep, your millennials are a disease.
Obviously, it's going to be streamed on the channel by me and Ren, because Final Fantasy IX was a big deal one, and we will find some way to get Ren's Steiner voice in the series.
Yeah, you didn't do very well. You're just doing the Pablo Cam voice again.
I know. I can't do... Ren's voice is amazing at doing Steiner.
Princess!
That's better. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I found amazing is they... you remember that game Chocobo GP came out?
Yeah.
I played a bit of that, and I got to the Final Fantasy IX segment, and I went with, oh, new voice actor for Steiner. And then I realized, no, it isn't. I'm just confusing with Ren doing the voice.
Actually, I don't think I've ever got a Ren Steiner voice either. I just realized that's just my Long Dennis impression. Princess!
Oh, it does sound like Long Dennis.
I've lost my sword in the bins. Would you help fish it out for me?
I've now got an image of you playing iToy Groove now. But
we are family, and all my siblings are long.
Oh God!
Thank you for gracing the world, Catechorus.
Yeah, no, that episode was great, by the way, because it really got me to I kind of felt like saying, I'll buy Elliot an iToy camera and we just all get it out and play that, because I actually remember really liking the iToy.
Oh, the Destiny Revenant is now out. Thanks for that email, PlayStation.
Okay, so let's end on something positive, because I think we should end on something positive. Alien Isolation devs confirmed we are getting a new game.
Woo! I'm excited. I'm excited.
And it's been how long since the original now?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
How did it...
They sort of announced it for the 10-year anniversary.
Do you know what? I never thought we'd be getting that. So I think to announce that on the 10-year anniversary was a good choice, even though they're in very early pre-production.
Let's be honest, this is mostly because Romulus has done really well.
Yeah.
We are just getting this because of how well Romulus did. Which, funnily enough, this is because, as I said, I think this is because of how well Romulus did. Alien Romulus was apparently really inspired by Alien Isolation.
And I commented
it's a full circle.
Yeah, and I commented that in my review. I said, whoever's done the production of this clearly played a lot of Alien Isolation.
Romulus is a fantastic movie, though. I'm very happy about that.
Oh, yeah. Romulus is the best Alien movie since 2. And I mean, obviously, that's not a high bar to clear, but...
yeah.
It's still there. And obviously, we can't comment too much on this because we don't know that much about this sequel. But...
yeah.
What do you guys think? But what do you guys want from this one? Because I can't imagine the story's going to follow the same main character.
I mean, maybe, yeah, probably, because it was following Ripley's daughter, wasn't it?
It's Ripley's daughter, but again, her story. I mean,
Ripley's granddaughter.
I mean, her story did continue in that Alien Five Nights at Freddy clone that was on mobile.
The what?
Yeah, there's a mobile game. It was a clone of Five Nights at Freddy's where you were sort of instructing crew members to hide or thing, and you were hoping the alien didn't know that you were in the vents, so you had to choose when to close the vent. It's actually a pretty good mobile game for once. I tried it out for a little bit. It's really hard. It's much harder than Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's I only found out about it because it was a sponsor for one of Cat Icarus's videos.
Oh.
So, and it was before he did the whole, hello, I'm Spons deal. That's how far back we're going.
So what would I want from this game?
I think the one thing I would want is them to reincorporate the microphone technology that was in the original, because that made that game a lot more frightening, because you're like, no one give me a text message, no one knock on the door, Ren, don't say any, because I was playing it when me and Ren were still roommates, and he wanted me to do
roommates, bedmates, fuck buddies, you know the gist.
So basically,
fuck buddies.
He insisted that we do the takeaway order, and I was taking a while. I was like, I'm trying to avoid being spotted here, and so he just went. So he did his SpongeBob impression until the alien found me going, constantly for ages, and then the alien found me under the funny thing. I was like, right, I'll do the order. Fuck you. I think the other thing though is I don't want to call it Alien Isolation 2. I want them to come up with a new name for it.
Yeah.
What about, and also I'm kind of interested what kind of ideas they bring to it, because do you do one alien again, or do you do multiple aliens again?
Oh, I feel like you gotta do multiple.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we got rather than Alien Isolation, Aliens Isolation.
That would be interesting. But I think I would like them to really emphasize you don't want to get into combat again. That's something I really liked about the last one.
Yeah, definitely.
Though those androids were really fucking annoying half the time.
No, because I'm half expecting to use a Predator at the end just to shake things up.
Oh, just have another Alien versus Predator game. Can we have another one? I really liked the PS3 game.
You know what actually will be really cool? The final alien have to escape is the Queen.
That would be cool as well, yeah.
That would be really cool.
Actually, while I'm on...
Or somehow they bring the thing from Prometheus in.
Oh, God, don't...
Oh, the Deacon.
Yeah.
Oh, God, don't remind me of Prometheus. I don't want to be reminded of Prometheus.
Alien lore is weird.
That's an understatement. Before we end this thing, did you guys actually play the Alien vs Predator game that was on 360 and PS3?
Yeah, I used to play at a mate's house.
I did not.
Oh, you missed out, Elliot. It was really good. Like, the Predator was actually my favourite mode in that one.
I know a lot of people really bring up how they like the old school Alien vs Predator game. Like,
oh yeah,
I think the one for the 90s.
Yeah, that one was pretty good as well.
Mostly, I remember people talking about how their favorite mode was the Marines.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah. Well, it's still better than most of the Alien vs Predator movies.
Oof. Yeah,
I think the first one's okay.
Okay, not great, but
but until you get to the second one where you can't see shit on screen.
Oh, the second one, the second one's terrible. Fully agree with that. I think the first one's all right though.
Yeah, but it also misses I think it misses the fundamental point that the whole reason that these movies exist is the aliens must under no circumstances get to Earth. And now the aliens have been on Earth for ages.
And everything was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we'll obviously be back next month with a much longer one, because we've got a lot more games to talk about.
Yep.
But
just, obviously we have
Metaphor, Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero.
Yep.
We'll obviously be talking about Super Mario Party Jamboree will come out in that time.
Yep. I'll be able to talk a little bit about Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
I'm confident about it. I think it's going to be all right.
And depending on when it comes out, we might
For me, we do have a lot. Mario Luigi Brothership.
Yeah.
I'm taking that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll still play it.
Yeah, same.
Possibly Dragon Quest 3.
Depends when we actually record. Yeah, that one's gonna depend.
That's why I said possibly.
Yeah, so I think we got a packed month coming up. I mean,
yeah.
I cannot believe you didn't mention Sonic X Shadow.
Oh yeah, Sonic X Shadow Generations.
You're the only one of us really looking forward to that game, and you forgot about it.
Yeah, no, and I will stress right now, if you're gonna play the game, go watch those animations they put on YouTube. They're fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
So we'll be back next month. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.